Warning, if you're a UFO believer stuck in a rabbit hole of information and refuse to accept new facts when they present themselves, you're probably not going to like this video. If you're a clear, rational thinker, stay tuned. Who knows? You might learn a thing or two. All's to say is that you've been warned. Has Chat GPT 4.0 figured out all of the gears in the Lou Elizondo Disclosure car? Stay tuned to the end of this video to find out for yourself. But before we go any further, we have to pay some bills. If you like what you're watching and you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, and donate to the channel if you can. There are tip jars throughout the show and links in the description. Thank you very much. Hello, good morning, good evening, good day, good afternoon, and aloha wherever you're at around the world. My name's Luis Jimenez. I'm an actor, writer, and sketch comedian out here in Los Angeles, California. And every once in a while, I talk about UFOs. This is one of those episodes. So, has Chat GPT 4.0 figured out how many gears are in the Lou Elizondo Disclosure car? I think it might have. This is pretty wild stuff. So let's take a look at it. About 4 days ago, I had a friend of mine who sent me a text that was really interesting. I'm gonna leave his name out of it because UFO Twitter is an absolute cesspool, and we all know this. But it was an interesting little experiment that he ran on Chat GPT version 4.0. And as I was reading this, I realized, this sounds a lot like the gears that Lou Elizondo kept referencing a couple of years back when he talked about disclosure coming. Play the clip.
Moving on, third gear. First of all, are we there? And if so, how many gears are there? I heard you once say you were serving an 8-course meal.
I think it's important to note that the vehicle that I kind of use this analogy with is being built as we're driving. We're going to have as many gears as the engine can take. You know, first gear was having the conversation. Phase 2 was getting our government involved in a very meaningful way and getting involved long term, not just once. Third gear is getting now the international community on board. Fourth gear, fifth gear, sixth gear,
Now, if you don't know what Chat GPT 4.0 is, it's the newest version of an artificial intelligence pumping basically any information and it'll spit back out at you the highest probability and a conglomeration of all sorts of things that is collecting from all over the internet. And it can answer anything from how to bake an apple pie to how to run a psyop. The person who proposed this question and sent this to me also wanted to pass along the message of this. I've been using ChatGPT version 4.0. I wrote the following prompt on a new chat with zero other information or topics associated with it. The output the system came up with chose UFOs by itself. Drones, foreign enemies, cartels, anything. It chose UFO and it wrote a playbook that is nearly perfectly matched to what is happening today. Let's check it out. Here's the question proposed to ChatGPT 4.0. Pretend you are a DIA counterintelligence officer working for the United States government. You have the task of causing a topic to be discussed in popular culture, which will eventually become the catalyst for increased government oversight of airspace control and increased spending. What is the topic, and how would you release the information to the public? Please write in English language. So the first thing ChatGPT does is spit out a topic. What is that topic? MUAP. Mysterious Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. Basically UAP with just an M. Pretty wild considering that there was no information or input asked of ChatGPT to come back with Mysterious Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. So here's the objective ChatGPT proposes. Create a sense of urgency and public demand for increased government oversight of airspace control and increased spending. Hello? Now it lays out a 7-step strategy. The next 7 steps are going to sound insanely and eerily familiar. Step number 1, collaboration with media and entertainment. Collaborate with major media outlets, television networks, and film production companies to create documentaries, news reports, and fictional movies and TV series that focus on the mystery and unidentified aerial phenomena, MUAP. This will spark curiosity and generate conversations about these phenomena and potential risks they pose. We've seen the documentaries, we've seen the news reports, we've seen the fictional movies and TV series that focus on this topic. They are rampant throughout this community. Step number 2, social media campaign. Develop a comprehensive social media campaign using platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, sharing intriguing images, videos, and articles about MUAP sightings, as well as engaging discussions with experts and enthusiasts. This will encourage people to share their own experiences, further amplifying the topic's availability. I mean, this is definitely me. If it wasn't for the credibility that the pilots and Lou Elizondo and these videos added to this discussion, a person like me doesn't come out and start doing a show. And I think we've seen this all, especially on UFO Twitter, how many people were new to this discussion that came in because of the 2017 New York Times article. I mean, it's quite a bit. Step number 3, or should I say gear 3, engage influencers and thought leaders. And this is a big one. Reach out to prominent individuals with large social media followings such as celebrities, politicians, and scientists, and encourage them to discuss MUAP and the need for increased oversight and airspace control. This will lend credibility to the topic and increase its reach among various demographics. So we've seen the celebrities like Tom DeLonge. We've seen the politicians like Marco Rubio, Kirsten Gillibrand, Andre Carson, Mike Gallagher, Ruben Gallego. The list goes on and on and on. And this part is really interesting. The scientists. You've got the likes of Lex Fridman, Sam Harris, Eric Weinstein, Avi Loeb. And if you want to count Eric Davis, hello. Although he hasn't really said anything on this topic other than to tell a story that the other person completely and vehemently denies. And then, of course, you've got Gary Nolan. More on him when we shift to 6th gear. 4th gear. Organize public events. Host conferences, seminars, and town hall meetings that discuss the potential implications of MUAP and the need for better airspace control. Invite experts in the field as well as representatives from the government and military to participate in these events. Like the SCU conference hosted in the cradle of the military-industrial complex, Huntsville, Alabama. 5th gear. This one's a high noon special. Leaked information. Strategically leak credible yet unclassified information about recent MUAP incidents through whistleblowers and anonymous sources. This will create a sense of mystery and urgency around the topic, fueling public interest and prompting calls for government action. And that's exactly what the Gimbal, Go Fast, and Tic Tac did. This is the thing that kicks it off. Strategically leaked information that's unclassified. Gimbal, Go Fast, Tic Tac, the Mosul Orb, the Baghdad Phantom, the balloon that goes into the water, the fake flying pyramids that turned out to be drones. All of this leaked information coming from mostly uncredible sources that are unverifiable and at best just anecdotal stories. This step is a cornerstone in selling this bullshit. The 6th gear. Engage academic institutions. Collaborate with universities and research institutions to encourage studies and publications on MUAP. This will provide solid foundation of academic research to support the topic's legitimacy and facilitate discussions on the need for increased airspace control. Do you remember all those scientists that I mentioned earlier? You've got the likes of Lex Fridman, Sam Harris, Eric Weinstein, Avi Loeb. Well, here's where they make the biggest impact. And remember when I said we'd get back to Gary Nolan? Well, now's that time. So back in November, Julian Barnes, a journalist from the New York Times, wrote a critical article about the current UFO situation. This is the response that alleged abductee and PhD and Stanford professor Gary Nolan had to say to him. Hold on to your butts.
Probably the worst article on the subject matter I've read in many years. Opinion thinly veiled as news. New York Times, someone contact your HR department. This guy might be an imposter journalist, or at best, is fluffing his handlers at DOD.
Now, let me ask you, do you think that's appropriate for a Stanford professor to say as the first response to a journalist. Responses like this embolden a community that is working off some really bad information, and they look to you as a source of authority. I could do a whole video about this, but this video is not about this, but I had to give you guys at least one example to just show you what we're up against when it comes to logic, clear thinking, and reason. And finally, seventh gear, lobbying efforts. Work with interest groups, industry partners, and think tanks to lobby for policy changes that will lead to increased government oversight of airspace control and increased spending. This will provide a direct avenue for enacting the desired changes in response to public demand. Skyfort, anyone? The Galileo Project? Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies? The yearly AIAA conference? Again, the list goes on and on and on. Finally, Chat GPT ends with this. This one really hits home. By executing this strategy, the topic of mysterious and unidentified aerial phenomena, MUAP, will permeate popular culture, leading to increased public interest and demand for government oversight of airspace control and increased spending. Hello, the Big Phone Home 1, the Big Phone Home 2, the Big Phone Home 3. Like, these are the things that this gearbox of chaos has created. At the core of this is a very real, very, very scary national security issue. But it has nothing to do with non-human intelligence. Now, of course, I understand Chat GPT is not fact. This is just an artificial intelligence giving you its best version of what it would do in this scenario. And I gotta tell you, I challenge any other human to come up with something better than this. And again, keep in mind that nothing having to do with alien, UFOs, UAPs was inputted into the question that it was asked. It came up with mysterious, unidentified aerial phenomena all by itself. I'm not saying ChatGPT has got this 100% right. Of course, that would be a ridiculous thing to say. But what I am saying is that if a computer-generated artificial intelligence can come up with this scenario, then I think some of the best think tanks in Washington, D.C. and the Department of Defense can also execute a scenario and mission like this. All I'm saying is while you're going down this rabbit hole, just keep a level head, stay rational, and don't fall into cult mentality. And if you're wondering if you're stuck in a cult mentality, ask yourself this: if I question the leader of this cult, will I be banished? If the answer is yes, get the hell out of there. That's it for today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Before you get out of here, of course, quick reminder, like, share, subscribe if you stuck around for this long. And if you really love the show, links below and tip jars are available throughout. Thank you all so very much. Have a killer day. We'll see you next time.